Hey guys, so Rhiannon will be coming soon to the global version of Reverse 999, so let us go through her kit and if you should pull for her. First of all, she is the all-rounder unit. What does it mean by all-rounder? She has a bunch of tags on her, like Lingering Glow, Blood Ties, so she basically fits into a lot of different teams, and her buff and everything is also very generic, so you can use her anywhere. So which means in this video, I will not talk about her team comp because she works everywhere. Just if you're missing one unit in the archetype, then just put her there. In fact, in certain archetype, she even perform better than some of the support that's currently in that archetype. Okay, so yeah, she's really a good character. The first thing I want to talk about her kit is Raptor Kinship and Sensory Bond, because this is really interesting. What it does is that it freezes that round. Okay, so let's go through it. From her inside, before casting incantations, Rhiannon can activate Raptor Kinship and enter the Sensory Bond status. And when entering battle, Raptor Kinship starts at 0% charge and has a max charge of 150%. With Insight 3 unlocked, she enters battle with 3 Moxie and Raptor Kinship starts at 70% charge. Once you gain another 30% charge, then you will hit 100%, then you can activate it. When you activate it, you will consume all 100% charge, and then you will enter Sensory Bond. So Sensory Bond, she will grant an extra round. So for example, now you are in round 4. You use Sensory Bond, you activate it, then in the next round, it will still be round 4 because this round is considered as frozen. So basically, you will not add into your rounds, right? It won't turn to round 5. The next round will still remain at round 4. During this status, enemy cannot act. So like I say, it's frozen. And when she does that, she will automatically add an attack called Feast Call. Okay, at the end of the spell queue, and basically it does damage 1500% of mental damage to all enemies for each stack of Raptor helped. Okay, she can help up to 5 stack of Raptor, so an additional of 150% times 5, that's about 750% mental damage, so overall 2250%. And this attack is always considered to be stronger Afflatus even if she's not attacking an enemy that has a beast weakness. So overall, Raptor Kinship and Sensory Bond is really useful, especially if you are using it on Focus Flashback because you have to clear it within 6 rounds, so now you can freeze it, so technically you have 7 rounds. But the question here is, how many times can she activate it, especially in game mode like raid, where in a certain limit of rounds you want to do as much damage as possible. To understand how Raptor Kinship is charged, we need to know about this thing called attunement. Okay, every start of a round she will get 2 stacks of attunement. If you don't use it, it will go to the next round, but maximum you can have only up to 4 stacks of attunement. So it is the best if every round where you get 2 stacks, you try to consume both stacks as well. With her Insight 3 at the end of the round, if you are holding attunement, then you will consume 1 stacks, which means you technically need to actively just use 1 more stacks, and then you will be consuming 2 stacks. If you can't use both stacks, it is fine. Just that in the next round, try to use both her incantation. So she consumed 2 stacks and 1 more at the end of the round. So just make sure, within the certain number of rounds, just consume all of it by using a certain number of incantations. That's because her incantation, when you use it, it will consume 1 attunement. And each attunement, when consumed, you will get 8% of Raptor Kinship. Okay, so here is some calculation I have here. Like you start in round 1, you start with 70%, and then you use one of the incantation and you consume 1 more at the end, that's 16%. In the 3rd round here, let's say I don't use any incantation. So at the end of the round, it will consume 1 more, so I get another 8%. Then in round 3, I use 2 incantation plus 1 at the end, so that's 3 attunement, so I get 24%, so now I have 100 and 18%. So in round 4, I can activate Sensory Bond. That will minus 100%. And then in that same round, I use up at least one incantation. So then I get 16%. So I would have a total of 34%. In the next round, which is still round 4 because of Sensory Bond, then you get another 16%, and then basically every round after that, you keep getting 16. So the next round you will be able to use it is in round 9. So that's about 6 rounds away. I mean, if you look at the numbers, it's like 5 rounds, but remember, one of the round is free, so I technically consider that as well. Okay, so it's 6 rounds away, including the free round. One more thing to highlight here is that if at the end of the round attunement is consumed, you also gain 1 Moxie. So it's quite good that she has this because it makes her able to gain Moxie easier. So you can just continue to keep using her out every few rounds in order to maintain all her buffs. As mentioned just now, the frequency to trigger Sensory Bond is about 6 rounds. And with the overflowing Raptor Kinship from before, it is most likely 6 rounds, okay? At P2, you get a 10% return in Raptor Kinship, so instead of 100%, you just need 90 more, so it will be about 5 to 6 rounds. If you are at P5, it will be even faster because instead of 8% per attunement, it's now 12.5, so she can get up to 25% per round. So in about 3 to 4 rounds, she will be able to use Sensory Bond again. So this makes her very good, okay, at P5. But if you don't go for it, it's fine. So even P0, she works perfectly fine. Next, we talk about her ultimate, and this status called Bendith. So when you use her ultimate, it's a buff. It grants this Ardal Lich Queen. I don't know how to pronounce this thing. I'm just going to call it ALG. Okay, to all other allies for 3 rounds. So ALG, what it does is that it gives attacks based on Rhiannon attack. So you really want to pump up Rhiannon's attack. So this will maximize the attack that she provides to the allies. And also max HP. Max HP is good especially for blood type unit because they are damage skills on HP. Okay, but generally it's good for everyone for survivability purpose as well. And Bendith is that when you are actively casting your incantation, now it's AP free. So from here on out, you don't have to worry about her rotation anymore. When her incantation comes, just use it all, it's free AP. Not only that, she's getting Moxie out of it, you are also building up Vertine's Moxie, so your tuning, you can use more of its function. So usually I just use up everything. For skill 1, a mass attack, deal 200% mental damage to all enemies before attacking, consume 1 stack of attunement to gain attack plus 12, 13 or 14% for 3 rounds. After Bendith, then she will do additional, it becomes a debuff instead of an attack. It will now inflict critical defense minus 15% on the target for 3 rounds. And for each stacks of rep part Rhiannon has, inflict an additional critical defense down 3% up to 15%. So you have 5 stacks, it will be 15%. So in total is minus 30% critical defense. Okay, so regarding rep part, you don't have to be too worried about it because every round she will get 1 stack, and if you use incantation, she will get 2 stacks. So yeah, so basically in 3 rounds, you just need to use 1 of her incantation and then you will get 5 stacks. And you will definitely do more than 1 attack. I believe every round you definitely do 1 of her attacks. So you will be able to maintain 5 stacks all the time. Skill 2, Sneaky Peeky, Mass Buff. Grants Flock Song to all allies for 3 rounds and consume 1 stack of attunement to gain max HP 12, 13, 14% for 3 rounds. After Bendith, grants damage bonus plus 15% to all allies, and for each stacks of report, then additional 3% damage bonus, total 15%. So here you get another 30% damage bonus. And Flock Song is 30% incantation might and 30% ultimate might. So You got 30% crit defense down, you got 30% damage bonus, then you have this incantation mind, and just now earlier she also provide attacks. And if you are doing bonus of latest damage, then you do even more damage. So overall, she's providing a lot of buff to the party and is very generic, so everyone can use it as well. Okay, here regarding the skill, if you notice previously I mentioned if you use a higher rank, you get 1% more like max HP and attack. So it's actually quite little. I wouldn't really suggest you to actually go and use like try to get the rank 2 or rank 3 version. I don't think it's that worth it. And especially like if you have 2 of the same incantation for Rhiannon in the spell dock, you can move and merge, yes. But do note that moving and merging will consume 1 AP. The skill itself doesn't consume AP, but moving it will still consume AP. So only in a situation where you see that there's 2 same incantation and there's in between there is 2 or 3 other, okay, maybe like 2 other incantation, then you use both, then they will auto merge. In that case, then it's worth to go for that. Alright, so here's a suggested rotation. Round 1, you use S1 or S2, then you consume 1 attunement, right? And you get 1 more Moxie. She starts with 3 Moxie, so now you have 4. At the end of the round, you will consume 1 more attunement, and that will grant 1 more Moxie. So you have 5. In round 2, basically, you just use your ultimate. You can use S1 or S2, but if you wait until the next round to use S1 or S2, then they are free AP, right? You use it now, it is not free because you have to select first in the spell dock, which then at that moment, they consume AP. Yeah, so if you want to save up AP, give it to your other characters to do more things, then you can save it up and then use Rhiannon's incantation after that. But one problem with this is that you will not be able to use Sensory Bond in round 3. If round 2 you use Ult and another incantation, then you will be able to use Sensory Bond. But don't worry about it, you are not really slowing down because the Raptor Kinship can overflow. So basically, if you just delay yourself in 1 round to cast it, but by the time the second Sensory Bond, it will be the same, okay? Because the Raptor Kinship will carry forward. So here, assuming that you are not able to activate Sensory Bond in round 3, here round 3, I would suggest you to apply both S1 and S2. So now you have all the party buffs. Because you need to use the ultimate, then only you get the party effect and inflicting critical defense down on the enemy. Which is why I like to, after ultimate, then only in round 3 I apply everything and let my team do all the big damage. Basically, from here onward, round 4 and beyond, just every time you see your incantation, just use it. Even the ultimate is free AP, so whatever comes, then use everything. But here is just one tips, because I've been playing Rhiannon quite a lot. Sometimes I get really unlucky and I don't even get her card appearing at all. So in that case, it can be a little bit problematic. So if like you have maybe 3 cards on the spell dock, then you thought that, you know, 2 of it is the same, I don't have to use it. You can use 2 and try to leave 1 more for the next round. In case in the next round you don't get anything, at least you can still use that. But if you are okay with the RNG, then again, I suggest you can just use all the incantation every time it appears. Because I really want to free up space in my spell dock and see more cards that comes in that maybe was self-merged or something, so I can do more damage, right? Yeah, so I prefer that kind of gameplay. I use everything, open up the spell docks, and then I hope more other cards, especially for my DPS, will appear more often. Her teammate, as I say, I'm not going to talk about it. She's all rounder, just put her everywhere. Anywhere. Her Psychube, her own Psychube is really good for her. You get that attack stats and max HP stats, which is 4 to 10% attack and 4 to 10% max HP. Even though it's for herself, but doesn't matter because she has ALG, which then grants it to allies as well. So next is when the carrier actively cast an incantation, grant all allies damage dealt. 1.2 to 2% for 3 rounds up to 6 stacks. So yeah, keep spending her skill and you should be able to get this stacks quite easily. So up to 12% damage dealt. And if it's a beast character, after casting ultimate, grant all allies critical damage up to 16% at A5. So overall, this Psychube is good. For P1, she start off with 5 Moxie, so you can just out straight away. Then in round 2, you can already apply all the buff and debuff, so it speeds things up by 1 round. And Flocked Song also now increase additional 15% incantation might, so it's 45%, and ultimate might as well, 45%. Okay, so I think P1 is quite okay if you want to have a fast start. If you're not really concerned, you are fine at P0. P2, when entering battle, Raptor Kinship now gain 85% recharge. So technically, if you use Alt and one more incantation, plus whatever attunement that is consumed at the end of the round, actually in round 2, you can already use Sensory Bond. Okay, but yeah, it doesn't really matter for the next one, so you can out in round 1 and then only use it, then let it overflow, then you can use your Sensory Bond in round 3, and then the next one should be, the same. Okay? And now with P2, if you use up the Sensory Bond, then you instantly get back a 10% recharge, so technically you just need 90% to reuse it again. And Rhiannon gained 3 stacks of Rapport up to 7 stacks. Each stack of Raptor Kinship now grants stronger Afflatus damage multiplier, becoming 5%. Okay, and Feast Call now also deal more damage. So overall, P2 is also very decent, making it faster that you can get to the Sensory Bond, which helps out in terms of turn count. I think you are still able just to use 1 Sensory Bond within that 6th round. I gotta try it. I didn't play a P2 before, so I gotta test this out. But I think it's not really that much of a difference, okay? P5 is different, P5, okay? I will talk about that. Now let's look at P3. Enhance Babble Gabble, inflict more crit damage, so now 20%, and up to 21, so it's like 41%. Damage bonus from S2 also increased to 20%, and then 41%. Level 4 ADL now grant higher percentage conversion of her ultimate to the teammate, max HP to the teammate as well. I think it's not really that significant, 3 and 4, so P2 would be a good stopping point. But if you want to go all the way, then of course P5. She now gained 2 Rapport at the start of the round. When entering battle, she starts with 100% recharge, so you can instantly use Sensory Bond. And when consuming attunement, Raptor Kinship now gain 12.5%. Rapport also increase in stack all the way up to 10 stacks, so means the damage boost that she does, the buff, will all be increased as well. And Feast Call now deal 5000% mental damage plus 500% mental damage for each stack of Rapport own. Yeah, if you can go for P5, it's not a bad choice. But if you are limited, P0 is fine. Else is P2. And last year, should you pull? Yes, totally highly recommended, especially for new player that lacks characters, go for her. Even for meta player, Rhiannon is now BIS, so I'm pretty sure you will pull for her. If you don't, okay, if you have all the archetype with all the unit build, like let's say, what I meant here is like you have Nautica, you have Sentinel, you have Robuscar and Samurwise. Do you want to purposely pull for Rhiannon just to replace Sentinel? So probably not. But why am I still pulling her in that case? That's because of her flexibility. But do note that if you really want to get Rhiannon, like for meta purposes, do note that her Euphoria now replaces characters that, not all, some of them, that doesn't have any Euphoria. I pretty much believe once that character get Euphoria, if they didn't change archetype, then they will perform better than Rhiannon in that archetype. But eventually, Rhiannon will get Euphoria and outshine those sub DPS again. But this is depending on when that sub DPS, not Rhiannon, but that character's Euphoria when they get it. Will it be before or after Rhiannon? If it's before, then Rhiannon Euphoria might still be better than theirs. But if it's after, it is likely that their Euphoria will be even better than Rhiannon's Euphoria. Okay, so that's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching and have a good day.